G'day, it's time to do another teardown. A lot of people love the teardown of the MIG or TIG welder I did a while ago. So Barry bought me this. It's a Navman. It's a in-car GPS system. Looks like it's quite an old one. I don't know. Of course, it's really not much use here in New Zealand because it's got Australian maps in it. I'll plug it in and we'll have a look and make sure it goes first. It's got a switch on the top, I think. Ta-da! Is it going to make it work? No. Oh, hang on. Turn on the power supply. It makes the difference. Now I see a little orange light come on. And which is the on position? That says on. Oh, there we go. It's starting up. Woohoo! Look at that, eh? Lovely. So this is a Navman. It's, I think Navman was made in New Zealand actually, so it's quite interesting that we have a local product and it's booting up. Safety agreement. I accept a safety agreement. There we go. Touchscreen, as you can see, loading the maps. And oh, here we go. So as you can tell, this has come from Australia because if I, come on, are you going to go? There we go. You can see that all the addresses here are Australian addresses. Look at that. Oh, that's all we've got. Oh no, it goes this way. So yeah, and if I go out of here with this button and I go find, and I choose to find a, so it's New South Wales, Australia. If I look at the other options, well, there's only Australian states. So it's pretty useless for someone in New Zealand because I don't plan driving to Australia anytime soon. So I figured, hey, let's just tear it down. And that's what we'll do. So I'll turn it off. Bing. Oh, look. Let's sleep. Come on, sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. There we go. It's asleep now. I'll unplug the thing. Let's get a screwdriver out. Let's take the back off it. See what's inside. Could be interesting. You never know. There's a bunch of these little screws, which we'll just whip out. Rightio. Now, the back should just pop off. There's probably a few little catches in here we have to release. I don't have one of those spodger things. I use my nails, even though they're a little bit short sometimes. Here we go. We're busting to get in. What do we got here? Yep. Ah, see that? Brute force and ignorance wins the day every time. I could be lying. What's going on here? Ah, there we go. Got it. There we go. Right. Now I see there's a little plug in here. I'll just disconnect that. There we go. That's what you get. That's what you get for your money when you buy one of these things. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so here's all the creamy electronic goodness inside this Navman. And what have we got? Well, you know, it's really, you can't tell an awful lot from looking inside these things these days. Most of the performance of the high-tech goodies are hidden inside these little metal cans. These metal cans are usually put on a board either to stop noise getting in or to stop noise getting out. So there's either something in there that makes a lot of noise or something that is sensitive to noise from outside. And of course, a motor vehicle, a car, is a noisy environment. You've got a lot of stuff going on. You've got high voltage sparks firing the spark plugs. You've got an alternator which is creating AC noise, and they've got diodes chopping that up. So there's a really quite a bit of radio frequency noise around in a car. So it makes sense if you've got something as sensitive as a GPS system to shield the bits that might pick up some of that noise. Now these little cans, sometimes they just pop off. Let's have a look and see. I've got a screwdriver. Yeah, lifting that edge there. Got to be careful because the traces on the board and everything are so fine that if you get it wrong, you bugger the board. And I'll just try and, of course, it's even harder to do when you're trying to film it. Yeah. Jump cut. Okay, so I got one of these cans off. You really can't see much else when you get in there though. It's still pretty much a black box. Whatever is under there, we still can't see it. And we've got a crystal in there. So there's a little crystal in there. This may be an oscillator that's used to drive other bits and pieces. As again, you really can't tell even when you take these little bloody cans off. So I might pull some of the rest off and see if we can find something in here that's worth looking at. Now here is something really interesting. This is far more exciting. If we look in here, you can probably see something just a little bit shiny under this thing. See the square shiny thing? That is almost certainly a bare die chip. What that basically means is that it's not encapsulated, it's not covered in epoxy, it's not in a little pin with a little package with pins hanging out of it. It's just a bare die. One of the reasons for putting that cover on, maybe to avoid light getting onto it, because when you have a bare die, the silicon there, they're very light sensitive, and changing light falling on that could cause all sorts of issues, switching transistors on and off. Yeah, that's an interesting find in this little can here. Not often you find those on boards these days. Usually, as I say, if they are put on there, they have a blob of epoxy, black epoxy, to keep the light out. One other interesting thing that had this in was the Raspberry Pi. Was it Raspberry Pi? think it was one of the Raspberry Pis, yes. And you could actually reset the entire computer by exposing it to bright light. The flash from a from a camera flash gun, for instance, would upset the little device like that, and it would reboot the whole computer. So again, this one is protected by a metal case to avoid that happening. Really interesting. Nice to see. Okay, we've got the big tin off, the big can off. That's this one here. And you can see this is where all the processing is going on within this GPS. We've got a Samsung processor here. We've got some, looks like some SRAM maybe, and maybe a ROM. I'm not sure. Maybe some flash ROM. I'm not too sure about all this. I haven't got my internet connection here, so I can't look these chips up, but it seems to be pretty much entirely Samsung. And what do we got over here? Just some power devices probably. So yeah, the reason this is shielded obviously then is to stop all this noise from getting out, because we have computer chips switching off and on at very high speeds. You get a lot of radio frequency noise, so by putting a can over the top, we're not getting this leaking out and possibly affecting the GPS. So having looked at this, you might say, well, where is the GPS receiver? I mean, if we go here, there's the output from the GPS ceramic patch antenna, and it doesn't seem to go anywhere here. If we turn the board over, there's nothing on this side, so you might think, well, it's not connected. Well, it is connected because this is a multi-layer board. It's not just top and bottom copper. The copper isn't just on the top and the bottom. There's layers inside. It's probably got maybe one layer. It's a very thin board, so this might be a 4-layer board, and so that connection to the GPS antenna will actually be routed between the layers of this board, which is a good idea because this can be a very high frequency. It's over a gigahertz, so what they want to do is shield it as it's routed, and that means that you get a nice noise-free and a constant impedance, which means everything works properly. It's a very complicated business organising these constant impedance feed lines. But this will be going off somewhere. Maybe I can meter it out and see, but I'm picking that odds are this is our GPS receiver over here maybe, or maybe this is, I don't know. I'll do a little bit of homework, see what we can find out, eh? Okay, I've done some sleuthing, and under this little cover here is a surf chipset, which is a GPS chipset. So this is the GPS receiver here. The surf chipset is a very common chipset used for decoding GPS transmissions. So as far as I can see, if we turn this board over, what's happening here is the signal is coming in, and this may not be a 4-layer board after all, because there is a very, very fine trace here that carries it over to this little piece of circuitry here, which looks to be a preamplifier for the GPS signal. That preamplifier then feeds the signal down here, which if we turn the board over, comes out in this little box here with its surf chipset. So there you go, that's the GPS receiver. So the reason this area had a tin can on it was to stop noise getting in, and the reason that this area had a tin can on it was to stop noise getting out. So there you go, as I say, that's the way these things work. So yeah, there's not really much else we can do with this. We've looked at it, we've found out where the guts is, we've found out what the different functional blocks do, although I'm still at a bit of a loss as to what this one does with its bare die on it. I really don't know what's going on there. Very interesting though. I might put a close-up of that on the screen in the video here if I can get one in with my macro lens. And that alone is a very interesting thing to talk about. But there you go. So if you've got questions, you've got comments about this little teardown, it's, wasn't much of a teardown really. It could have been one of Dave's 2-minute teardowns. But if there's other stuff you'd like to see pulled apart, especially electronic stuff that I can give you some insight into what's inside and what it does and how it works, then please leave a comment in the comments section and I'll do my best. So if you've got anything in particular you want to see torn down, especially if it's cheap because I can't afford to buy anything expensive, then tell me and I'll do my best to accommodate you. Now it's time for me to get doing something else because I've got a wonderful package arriving tomorrow, hopefully. And it's something that flies, and I should have it going for the weekend, or that's rain predicted for the weekend, damn it all. If it is a fine weekend, then you'll see lots of noise and flames and excitement, as you sometimes used to see on the XJet channel. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.